everybody. Here for the second game of the weekend. We'll be against the Chicago Blues. Played them once earlier this year up in Detroit in a tournament. I think ended up losing in the semifinals, like 1-2, I think. All right, we're gonna start with Rig Harris back in net. We'll have Luke Wolf, Chase Albert. At D, we'll have Jack Myers at center, Thomas Volkevich at left wing, and Cam Cones, it looks like, at right wing. Back to the point, nice, good a bounce, puck still loose. The one thing that we probably could have done better this morning is just kind of utilizing the D. So like you see right now, those wingers for Chicago kind of get sucked down low, and you know, if our forwards recognize they've got pressure from all five guys, the D must be open. So you don't see the D score very often at this stage in their life. They're still young enough. Their shot's not quite hard enough usually to make it all the way through with force to the goalie, but you end up with a lot of rebounds and redirections and stuff, which can sometimes go in. So, all right, we're going to have Bomer and Hubbard at D. We'll have Luchansky, Signs, Clausen up front. Up with it. Bucks back to Hubbard. Sends it up to Luchansky. And Hubbard gets his stick on it last second to deflect that high. All right, we'll get a face-off here on our end. Zoom in a little bit more here. That should be good. All right, we'll have Albert and Wolf at D. Jetner, Russo, Lukes up front. Back around to Albert. Russo up to Lukes. Shot down low, deflected wide, rebound shot, stopped. Goes deep, Albert will go back for it. Reverses to Wolf. Sends it around to Lukes. And get it up out of the zone. And Russo gets it deep, we'll get a change. Got Sorobi coming in off the bench, and puck goes out of play. We'll have a face-off down in their end. All right, well, Hubbard and Bomer at D, Sorobi, Myers, and Cones up front. Roby brings it in. Cones brings it in the zone. Our D's going to go off for a change. Roby drives to the net. One of our D change. Looks like Bomer went off. We got Hubbard and Wolf out right now. Hubbard's going to go off. Albert comes on. We'll have Signs into pressure. Looks like Volkevich and Luchansky up front. Shot from Wolf at the point. stick with Signs, Luchansky, Wojtowicz up front, Albert and Wolf at D. Shot gets deflected high. Albert sends it across the Signs. Puck is out of the zone. We got a Blues player coming in hard. We got someone driving the net. And Toledo's able to recover from that. Wolf up to Wojtowicz. Signs has it. He'll get it in the zone. Gets a shot. And kept it in at the blue line. Hubbard and Bomer. Back at D. All right, Signs, Russo, Luke's up front. Hubbard over to Bomer. Bomer up to Signs. Bomer's got it. Direction up to Luke's and up to Russo out of the zone. We've got Gentner in at center right now. Puck gets sent down. That'll be an ice. All right, Albert and Wolf. We've got Clausen, Myers, Sarovi up front. Sarovi brings it in, centers it. Out of reach of a Cherokee player, and the Blues will come up with it in the neutral zone. Stolen by Myers, who chips it over to Sarovi. Clausen's got it in the corners. Nice redirect to get it deep again. And Sarovi sends it up to the point. Wolf over to Albert. And Albert's going to get it deep. We got both D going off. All right. Wojtowicz is going to have a chance here on a line change. Sends it low. Goalie was ready. All right. Bomer and Hubbard in at D. Wojtowicz shines. Cones up front. Come out. It'll be an icing. Really? No icing? All right. Bomer gets it up to the blue line. Bomer chips it over to Cones. The Signs. Wolf and Albert back in at D. Signs up to Luke's. Oh man, quick little stick there from Chicago there right before the shot. All right, puck's gonna come to Wolf at the blue line. Shot goes wide. Up to Russo. Puck for Bomer. Sends it to Hubbard. And Hubbard tries to get it deep, hits off Russo's butt, and that's going to be offsides. All right, Bomer and Hubbard at D still, Myers, Sorovi, and Luchansky up front. Face-off win back to Hubbard. And we're going to have a trip come in against... It's like Hubbard's going to the box. I think it happened at the blue line. Kind of right below us here. The camera was in my view. I couldn't really see too well, but all right. Tough part with rolling 4 defensemen is if we get a defenseman with a penalty, then we're kind of down to 3. So just have to manage the bench well. We're going to have puck go out of play. We're going to have Bomer and Albert at D, Russo and Myers up front. Got it, chips it up, not quite out. Almost back with it. Oh, wanted more on that. And we'll chip it up. Get it out if we can. Oh, man. Out. We had 1 or 2 chances to get it out earlier in the shift. Chicago being deliberate here and taking their time on some of these scoring chances here. Puck down and out. That's an ice, which is totally fine because we need fresh legs. All right, we're gonna bring in Wolf, Signs, I think for D, Gentner, and Cones up front. Up and out of the zone. Puck's out of the zone. Should about do that's offsides. No call. All right, penalties coming to an end. Cone's carrying it in. All right, we got Hubbard and Wolf in at D, Signs, Gentner, Cones up front. There's a hoof there from the Blues. Kind of got, the Blues player got tangled up with Wolf and so just kind of letting his stick go so Wolf could get out of it. He kind of drug Wolf down to the ground. Hubbard and Wolf back at D. Russo, Wokevich, Luke's up front. Puck's going to come back to Wolf at the blue line. Walks to the center. Puck move back to Wokevich, back to Wolf. Hubbard dumps it deep. Good puck movement, no shots. Nice steal from behind from Russo. Another nice move. Oh man, had the spot picked out, just missed the net by a couple inches. Russo dumps it deep, and they'll go for a change. Wolf goes off. We get Hubbard hit from behind, no call. Srovey comes up with it. Up to Cones. The goalie covers. All right, Bomer and Albert at D. Myers up front. Sorobi and Cones at wing. Albert's got it. Shot goes wide. Bomer's going to keep it in. Penalty is ending here. Puck's back to Albert at the blue line. Oh, lucky there to stay in the zone. Myers picks it up. All right, we've got Hubbard and Wolf in at D right now. Srovey signs Luchansky up front. And we got a penalty here coming against Signs. Shoulder-on-shoulder contact, a little bit too much than the ref liked. Looking through the box for checking. They called it a trip. I don't know why. Other than not anywhere near his legs. Kind of ran into him shoulder to shoulder and upended him. All right, we'll have Bomer and Hubbard at D. We'll have Gentner and Lukes up front. Two guys pursuing. Nice play there. Bomer swept it out. Gentner with the black shot. Seconds left here this period. Chicago's pulling their goalie. Getting an extra skater. period. Score 0-0. Start of the second, we're going to have Hubbard and Bomer back at D. We're going to be on the penalty kill. We'll have Russo and Volkevich up front. And puck's dumped down deep. Oh man, that deflected up high. And out of the zone. That's offsides. That was a total. Alright. We could have used a whistle there. It'd have been nice. Oh well. Nice stick from Bomer to block that shot. And they'll call icing on that. Skate another foot or two, wouldn't have been icing. Yeah, that puck was obviously out and then brought back in offsides by about 2 or 3 feet. Little things like that can change the game, you know. It doesn't. When you're on a penalty kill, you can use all the whistles you can get, especially whistles that bring it into the neutral zone. So, you know, puck going offsides like that, to let it keep playing can definitely change the trajectory of the game if they get a goal after that. All right, Gentner brings it in. We got Gentner and Cones up front. Wolf and Albert back at D. All right, we get a player out of the box. And puck cleared out. And we'll get an icing. All right, Bomer and Hubbard at D, Gentner, Cones, Sarovi up front. Face-off win to Chicago. Nice stick from Hubbard there. And shot blocked by Gentner. Gentner trips it in. Hubbard and Albert back at D. Oh man, there we go. Clausen playing the body there, I like it. with a trip there. All right, Luchansky has the puck. Oh, sends it right across the slot. We got Myers out as the center. Luchansky with it in the corner. All right, Wolf's back with it. Back to Albert. Albert's back with it. Wolf sends it down. We'll get an icing, which is all right. It was a long shift. All right, Bomer and Hubbard back at D. Russo, Luke's at wing. Signs at center. Russo comes up with it. Back to Signs, gets off his stick. Signs currently offsides and gets back on sides. Nice play there from Bomer. Gets it up out of the zone. Sides. All right, same lines. Back from Hubbard up to Signs. Signs gains his own. Toe drag. The puck goes in. It's a goal. All right. It's a goal. I think the other coach is wondering what happened. So that's a goal, 1-0. If they call this off because of goaltender interference, that's not cool because Signs got hooked from behind, which was what brought him down. And all right, so that's a good goal. All right, we'll have Wolf and Albert back at D. Wojtkiewicz. Wolfie's got it. He's going to skate. He's got a little bit of room. And gets it deep. Pull back to D. Good play. We've got Sorobi, Gentner, Wojtkiewicz up front. Off the boards and up out of the zone. Wolf over to Albert. Sends it back around to Wojtkiewicz. And up out of the zone. And that's going to be a trip for sure. All right, we'll be on the penalty kill here. We'll bring in Bomer and Hubbard back at D. We'll have Myers and Combs up front. shot off the face-off. Harris blocks, and puck is chipped up and out of the zone. No icing. Nice pressure there from Myers. There's the hook. No call. Trip. Puck still loose. Chicago gets away with a couple penalties there. And that's a goal. Like I was saying earlier, you know, non-calls are just as disruptive to the game as maybe, you know, over-calling things. Like earlier I was mentioning that offsides when we were on the penalty kill, that could have been useful. 2 penalties, or 2 potential penalties there, you know. Not called leads to a goal. Either way, kids got to learn to overcome that and, you know, keep skating and stuff. But we'll have a 1-1 game. Back to 5-on-5. Refs are human too. I mean, not talking negatively at all about them. Just they call it the way they see it, and they try to do the best they can. Sometimes they get it perfect, sometimes they don't. All right, Lukes, Gentner, Russo up front. Wolf and Albert back at D. Albert shot from the point, goes wide. Puck to Albert. Up to Lukes. Just out of his reach. Puck's out of the zone. We could use a change. Legs are tired right now, it looks like. Over to Russo. And that'll be offsides. All right, Bomer and Hubbard at D, Signs at center, Clausen and Luchansky at wing. Right now we've got all 5 Chicago players stuck down deep. We can pop it up to our point. It's a good opportunity to. A little hook on Clausen. Bomer's got it. Interference on Signs there, no calling. Refs pretty much letting them play. Boston dumps it deep. We'll have Bomer and Hubbard go off. Albert and Wolf come on. end. Albert at D. Wokevich, Myers, Rosie up front. And Harris covers. All right, we will keep our forwards out with... Oh, no, never mind. Full change. All right, Bomer and Hubbard come in at D. Russo, Gentner, Cones up front. Dumps it deep. Ooh, nice puck movement there from the Blues. Oh, again. Chicago player is kind of forced to the outside, made a nice pass on the high slot, open Blues player, and that's a goal, 1-2. All right, Albert and Wolf in at D, Lukes, Myers, Wokevich up front. Luke skates it in. Back to Albert at the point. He's going to cycle in with it. No one's covering yet. Someone get back to cover D. All right, Albert gets back. Chicago gets the line change here. They got fresh legs. Myers gets it back to Lukes. And he gets it deep. We'll get a few kids change. Bomer and Hubbard come in at D. We've got Luchansky, Signs, Lukes up front. We get a penalty. Net off? Yeah, net's off. All right, Lukes goes off. Clausen comes on. Up to the blue line. Oh, hops over Clausen's stick. Tough break there. No idea how that puck went in, but it did. Oh, no, wait. Ref's saying no goal. No goal. I think the ref had already blown the whistle that he couldn't see it. He made his decision. That's no goal. Pick it up, take it back down. Called no goal. All right, did we just get face off at center ice? Still says 2-1 up on the scoreboard. I'm assuming, no, now they just put 3-1. That's not right. This is a circus. I'll just say that. I'll keep my mouth shut otherwise. Lots of confusion on the ice. Initially, the goal was called off. Changed their mind. I guess you can yell at a ref enough to get him to change his mind, I guess. I don't think that's the right way to do it, but nonetheless, we got a 4-1 game. All right, timeout's over. A little pep talk there from the coaches. I'm sure there was some inspirational words down there. All right, let's see how we do here. Just like a quick turnaround, like I mentioned earlier. Not to harp on refs. I really appreciate all that they do, but you gotta be confident in your calls. Otherwise, it's just. All right, we've got Bomer and Hubbard in a D. We've got Russo, Lukes, and Myers up front. Bomer sends it up to Lukes. Sign shot, and goalie stops it. Wolf and Albert back at D. Signs Wilkevich, Luchansky up front. Goes down deep here. We've got Albert in pursuit. Reverses to Wolf. Blues down in the corner with it. Are in a D. Forwards trying to catch up to the play. Nice steal there from Bomer. Go with it, Georgia. Passes up to Gentner. Bomer's got it. Just out of Really close first period. second period kind of fell apart after some confusion on the ice there. Just as a player, you got to learn to kind of stay focused even when when calls don't go your way, or when there's confusion in the play around you, confusion with the calls. You got to stick with it. All right, down by 3 here going into the third. All right, start of the third. Let's see if we can get back in this here. We'll have Albert and Wolf at D, Russo and Lukes at wing, Myers at center. Albert goes across to Wolf, Wolf up to Myers. Tries to center it, gets it to Lukes. We've got Bomer and Hubbard coming in at D. Luke's shot doesn't get too far. Oh, there's a check. See, that's what bothers me. It's just like, you gotta be consistent. Nice move by Russo. Russo gets it deep. All right, we've got Gentner, Cones, Vukevich up front. Hubbard and Wolf back at D. All right, Vukevich skates it in. Shot goes wide. It's kept in at the blue line. Low shot, goalie stops. All right, Vukevich, Gentner, Cones up front, Albert and Wolf back at D. Kept in at the blue line. Got a 1-5 game, about 11 and a half minutes left to go in the third. All right, we've got Sorovi, Saenz, Luchansky up front, Bomer and Hubbard back at D. Chicago comes up with it. Offsides. All right, Luke, Myers, Russo in front, Albert and Wolf back at D. Puck goes out of play. Offsides. Oh, I guess not. And goes out of play.
Listen to the track.
All right, we'll have Russo, Myers, Lukes up front. Bomer, Hubbard back at D. Comes back to Bomer at the point, walks to the center, and doesn't have a great shot. Back in, keeps it in. Comes to Russo. Shot, goalie saved it. Vukevich, Gentner, and it's like Cones up front. Bomer and Hubbard still in at D. Cones with it behind the net, still working at it. There's a trip, and puck's still loose. Doesn't go in. Good pressure on this shift. Shot, makes it through. Goalie covers. All right, Gentner, Wokevich, Cones up front, Albert and Wolf back at D. All right, Gentner has it. Skates it in the zone, shot, and nice snag from the goaltender. We got Albert and Wolf at D, Steins, Luchansky, Sorovi up front. Signed shot, and goalie snagged it. All right, Hubbard and Bomer at D, same forward lines as before. Puck comes to Bomer, tries to get it in. Nice pass up to Luchansky. And nice shot. Goalie snagged it, no rebound. All right, we'll have Myers, Russo, Lukes up front. Hubbard and Bomer still at D. Myers tries the center, and the goalie covers. All right, same lines. Myers, Russo, Lukes up front with Bomer and Hubbard at D. Russo's got it. We've got Bomer off, Albert on, Hubbard still out. Lukes, Russo, Myers up front. Russo with the puck. Hubbard's off, Wolf is on. Up front right now we've got Clausen, Luchansky, and Signs. All right, Hubbard and Bomer in at D. We got Wilkevich with a block shot there. Combs and Gentner. Got a 2-on-1. Wilkevich with the low shot, and nice snag from the goalie with no rebound. All right, same lines. Hubbard keeps it into the blue line. Kept in by Bomer. Puck's out of the zone. Alright, Hubbard's going to go back to Bomer with it. Jones banks it off the boards. And knocked down by Hubbard. Off to Wilkevich. Albert shot, gets blocked by a stick. Cherokee quick shot. Wolf keeps it in at the blue line. Nice stick lift there from Luke. And offsides. All right, we'll have Albert and Wolf at D, Cherokee, Myers, Luke's up front. Myers has it, has Luke's to his left, fakes the pass, shot. Puck's kept in at the blue line. Shot by Bomer, gets deflected off a glove and goes high. There we go. I like the feistiness there. All right, Bomer and Hubbard at D. Wojciech signs Russo up front. All right, Russo has it, tries to center it. Puck's going to come back to Bomer. He'll send it over to Hubbard. Shot deflects. Puck's still loose. And kept in by Bomer. Sent deep. And we got a 2-on-1 developing. Nice stick there from Bomer. Stein's going to skate it into the zone as Russo to his left. Passes to Russo. Shot. Nice save from the goaltender. All right, Albert and Wolf at D. Gentner, Cones, Luchansky up front. We are gonna play this same team again tomorrow morning, and then we'll play Wilmette tomorrow afternoon. And we'll allow music, and then we'll head home after that. So we won't be getting home till 10:30, 11 o'clock tomorrow night Eastern time. It's gonna be a long day tomorrow. All right, we've got Bomer and Hubbard back at D. Bomer passes it up to Cherokee. He's got Myers and Luke's to his right. Sends it to the net, but no one there. All right. We got 4-on-2 developing here. One of them pulls off, making 3-on-2. And Bomer sends it up the boards. comes around to Hubbard. We've got Bomer off and Albert on. And we're going to have icing here if it makes it. All right, so 23 seconds left in the game. Despite the score, I said this again this morning too, like it was a pretty close game overall. There was, 3 minutes there in the second where things kind of fell apart after some confusion related to that goal. But besides that, first period was good. I thought the third period was good. Second period was not. So I spoke too soon. Oh, nice save from Harris there. Pushing in front of the net. All right, we got 7 seconds left here. Kevich, Russo, Gentner up front, Wolf and Albert at D. Well, we'll see you guys tomorrow morning. I don't remember what time it is. I don't think it's too early. We'll see you guys then.